So this is what is you already know. We told not the difference, spermatogenesis and oogenesis will also again be discussed with the reproductive system, male reproductive system, female reproductive system proper. Spermatogenesis, oogenesis, mitotic and meiotic divisions, haploid, diploid, these basic ideas you have to, এখানে এসো এখানটায়, this basic knowledge you must have, you already have, and just recapitulate that. Just what happens, the problem lies at separation of sister chromatids. If they do not separate, then what happens, sometimes an extra X or Y chromosome is carried. Any chromosome, extra X chromosome carried, or any chromosome actually in excess of 1X, any X chromosome is seen as the bar body, We discussed bar body. If there are, say, abnormal situation 3X chromosomes, then 2 bar bodies will be seen. If usually more are not there, but if there are even in a what we call normal female XX, then also 1 bar body will be seen. So we discussed about that. How do they differentiate in the absence of some factors, presence of other factors, like in the absence of SRY gene on the Y chromosome, this determines male, or if this is not there, then it goes towards the female. Then testicular development, if the testis develops, there will be testosterone. From testosterone by 5-alpha reductase, it will form dihydrotestosterone. It forms the male external genitalia. If, so again, in an MCQ type of question, male external genitalia development is dependent upon, if there is no dihydrotestosterone in the options, you mark testosterone, but dihydrotestosterone is the better answer. So if testosterone is not there, then Anti-Müllerian hormone or the if SRY gene is not there, then there is no Anti-Müllerian hormone. So lack of Anti-Müllerian hormone or Müllerian inhibiting substance leads to an absence of testosterone, leads to the development of the Müllerian duct and the female structures. Otherwise, development of Wolffian duct and the male structures. So these are the various parts I think you better know from anatomy or embryology. So extensive list is not needed. Again, MIS, no female internal genitalia, because there is the Müllerian inhibiting substance from the Sertoli cells. The testosterone, dihydrotestosterone from the male external genitalia, and the testosterone also forms the male brain. So in disorders like we discussed about Klinefelter syndrome, 47 XXY. So either it is right as 44 XXY or 47, XXY. The format is more used now. So earlier it was more written like the total number of chromosomes and just the sex chromosome, but the name of the designation of the sex chromosomes. But that may again create a confusion. It is 47 plus 3. No, 47, XXY means total is 47 and XXY is among those 47. So better to write it as we do it now, 44 XXY or 44 XX, normally 44 XX, 44 XY. XXY, that is Klinefelter syndrome, one of the abnormal patterns, genetic patterns. So the what I was telling is that the other issues related to psychological issues and all, probably related to the lack of testosterone or the malformed testicular development. So there is no testosterone. What we call the male brain, the male type of brain is formed, that is absent. So there are those issues. Probably the cause is that. So that is the cause. Just remember the absence of these factors. If there is no formation from the undifferentiated gonads, if the testis is bipotential gonad, that is at that stage it can either become the testis or the ovary. So if the testis is formed, there will be testosterone. From the Sertoli cells, there will be AMH, and then there will be male type of development. If they are not there, then there will be the female type of development. So again, extensive structures, extensive is not needed, at least from for this discussion. These are, you will get in anatomy, we will again recapitulate when you read gynecology, but from anatomy, from your embryological knowledge. So they're the different, these are the origin from, like there is a bipotential gonad, undifferentiated gonad from, so these structures, these are different. This left one is for the male, these are for the female. So the genital tubercle will give rise to the penis in the male and the clitoris in the female. Mesonephric duct, paramesonephric duct, undifferentiated gonad, obviously they will become the testis and the ovary. Again, in the gonads there is the outer part is called the cortex, as in case of the kidneys or the adrenal glands, outer part called the cortex, inner part called the medulla. They are forming the different structures. In the female, the ovarian ligament or the round ligament, these structures are formed from something called the gubernaculum, and in the male it forms a small structure called the gubernaculum testis. Okay, so like these structures, the urogenital structures, they are formed from the urogenital sinus. In the female, it also forms the vagina. So these are more of embryology, you will get in embryological discussions. So these are the disorders, some list of some disorders which cause these issues related to the recognition of the actual gender. So the chromosomal disorders are either the Turner syndrome, there is no lack of one X, so one X goes 3, instead of it should become X from one, the biological father, X from the mother, but one X is there, another is not there, that is called gonadal dysgenesis, also called the Turner syndrome. Again the names Turner's, Klinefelters, these are according to those who named them. XXY is Klinefelter syndrome, that is the commonest among these chromosomal disorders. Second commonest is super females, XXX, but that is probably, that goes unharmed, like actually there are no signs and symptoms, that goes unharmed, probably not detected unless a karyotyping is done incidentally. But if it is YO, that probably that does not leave, that is called a lethal gene combination. Okay. This one 22Y, 44YO, this is lethal. 44XXX has no actually no symptoms, or there is no manifestation as such, lives like a normal female, and genetically as it is XXX, it is, the term has been given super female. XXY, seminiferous tubule dysgenesis, this is probably the commonest, and the second commonest is XXX. XO Turner syndrome again has a lot of features. The main which we called is gonadal dysgenesis, streak ovaries. So there will be issues later on. Streak ovaries, no ovarian hormones are not there. So this is the some features of the Klinefelter syndrome. Okay, and this is for the Turner syndrome. So the probably there will be the growth does not occur, proper growth does not occur, dwarfism is there. Obviously there will be primary at the age when there is expected menstruation will not occur, there will be primary amenorrhea. Okay, short stature. Okay, these are some webbed neck, widely spaced nipples. Now again there are various associated features which are, not all the features can be, that physiological cause can be or pathophysiology can be traced, but there are some associated features. The main is this streak ovaries rudimentary, or they are also called, the term used is, the classical term used is streak ovaries, STREAK, streak ovaries. Okay, and in the Klinefelter syndrome mainly seminiferous tubule dysgenesis, androgens, lack of female type of distribution, pubic hairs and all, narrow shoulders. The secondary sexual characters does not appear, poor beard growth, poor axillary hair growth. All these are the some features. You will again be, actually these will study some, not in very detail, but again This will be discussed in actually obstetrics and gynecology classes, but they are keeping it over here now. They have mentioned in the competencies. So at least if short notes like that should not come in your first year, but if they come as they have mentioned in the syllabus, at least you can write 1 or 2 lines like XXY Klinefelter is the commonest among the chromosomal disorders. Again, Turner is not that commonest. These are all rare, but commonest. These even 1 in 1000 males. Males means whenever we mention male and female in this biological context, we will always mean this is genetically it is male. Okay. Now these external features will vary. That is what creates the problem. So male means genetically male, but if we do the karyotyping, then what will be found? That is male. So chromosomal pattern 2X and YY, 1Y, here is 1X, there is another no. So total 45. So 44 XO means the total number is 45. Triple X syndrome, again, it has no, just we mentioned, it does not show any external manifestations, and this goes normal unless incidental karyotyping is done. This is probably not diagnosed. And we discussed about what is true hermaphroditism, that is, these are actual intersex. True hermaphroditism, presence of both the gonads. Now in some cases in the testis takes over, that is takes over means the features are more like those of production of the testicular hormones, and also testis is the dominant one, although ovaries are paired. Again, in 20-30% cases, the ovaries are more dominant than the testis. So but the commonest karyotype, if we do it genetics to hermaphroditism, it's 46XX. That is, so again, this should not be written like this. Either it is 46XX or 44XX. Both testicular, very rare, both testicular and ovary tuition, these structures are present. But pseudohermaphroditism is not like. Pseudohermaphroditism is, there is genetically it is one type and we call it the male or the female, genetically male or female, but features are like, phenotypical features are like those of opposite. Like we mentioned about, this is the whole, this chart, you don't need this extensive chart, and I think you will also see this in the classes on the adrenal physiology. So from cholesterol, you can call it the mother substance. So from cholesterol, pregnenolone, progesterone. So what are formed? Mineralocorticoids are formed in the where? In the outer layer. Have adrenal been discussed? Adrenal been discussed? No, not discussed. In the adrenal cortex, the hormones formed are types of hormones formed are mineralocorticoids, steroid hormones, mineralocorticoids, glucocorticoids, and sex steroids. So mineralocorticoids, primary of them is aldosterone. Glucocorticoids, primary is cortisol, and the sex steroids, testosterone. Some androgens are formed in the testis, but some are formed in the adrenal. This is called adrenal steroidogenesis. So the mineralocorticoids, one of the hormones which is leading to the formation of the one of the enzymes at this stage. One enzyme is 21 alpha hydroxylase, which is the most common deficiency. Among the deficiencies noticed during this formation, that deficiency is the commonest, and that is called congenital adrenal. This condition leads to congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Why it is so called? When there is no aldosterone and glucocorticoids formation is less, then it gives a negative feedback to the pituitary. So the pituitary secretes more ACTH. So the tissues, hyperplasia. These terms again will be discussed in pathology. Hyperplasia means increase in the number of cells and increase in the size of the organ. Hypertrophy means increase in the size of the cells. So increase in the number of cells leading to increase in size, or increase in not in the number but just in the size, that is hypertrophy. So hyperplasia, the adrenal tissue is growing, but what is happening? It does not have 21 alpha hydroxylase. So these pathways, formation of these glucocorticoids and mineralocorticoids are blocked. So all these precursors are channeled towards formation of more and more sex steroids instead of mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids, sex steroids are formed. So what happens if the genetically if it is XX, then testosterone, the effects of testosterone are, these are more phenotypical features like those of become those of male, like those of male. Okay, so the clitoris is enlarged and at birth it is mistaken as the male external genitalia. So it is female pseudohermaphroditism. The first word male or female will depend upon the genitalia, although that is diagnosed very later. Okay, diagnosed much later, maybe at puberty, but and now the child is brought up as a male. So that is called sex of rearing. So it is reared as a male. Okay, and the opposite happens, that is called maybe androgen insensitivity syndrome. Opposite, that is male pseudohermaphroditism. Just get this basic, just have the basic ideas right now. Again, these will be discussed in obstetrics and gynecology. That is in gynecology, that male pseudohermaphroditism. Why? Androgen is there. It is genetically, it is actually XY, not diagnosed. But phenotypically, it is like a female because androgen resistance has developed. Androgen is there, but receptors are malfunctioning or due to any cause. There is androgen resistance. The hormones are not being able to exert their effects. So that is called androgen insensitivity syndrome. There are different names. You have to just go by the names and try to understand from the explain the names yourself. You will get to it. Androgen insensitivity. That means, and insensitivity here in biology means the thing is there, but it is not being able to produce its effects because receptors or at some region there is a blockage to the either the receptors are not responding or some androgen insensitivity, also called the testicular feminization syndrome. That is, testis is there, it is genetically male actually, which will be karyotype later. So testicular but feminization, phenotypically there is feminization. So that is testicular feminization syndrome. So this is about, this chart is about, this is just adrenal steroidogenesis, but just to make you understand, if 21 alpha hydroxylase is absent, you will better understand from here. If this is absent, aldosterone, cortisol spelling is wrong. Cortisol, I don't know, either wrong or someone has written is like this, accepted in some part of the world. We, in this part of the world, we accept it as cortisol. C is more relevant, or which we use, cortisol, CORITISOL, the primary glucocorticoid. So 21 alpha hydroxylase is not formed. So not formed. 21 alpha hydroxylase deficiency is there. So cortisol, aldosterone, mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids are not formed. So all these precursors are channeled towards the formation of, again, testosterone spelling. There should be a E, androstenedione, all these, there should be a E at the last, testosterone. So formation of adrenal androgens, and these lead to the male features. If actually this is a XX type, this is actually a congenitally, genetically a female, then it leads to female pseudohermaphroditism due to the presence of male features. So this is you see, this is this one, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, the last one, figure D. Okay, this is partial or complete. A is complete, B is partial. Androgen insensitivity syndrome or testicular feminization syndrome. Just you I don't think again in the first year of your medical school these will be asked in detail, but as it is mentioned over there in the structured syllabus. So just if you can't write all the features, you don't need, or just mention some lines at least. What is androgen, or if it is a part of a broader question, what is androgen insensitivity syndrome, just write one line. So this is genetically a androgen insensitivity. So androgens can't act. Genetically a male, but androgens are not being able to act. Okay. 5 alpha reductase deficiency, if it is there, then what will happen? The features will be like that, male only, but probably the child is reared also as a male, but due to dihydrotestosterone will be not there, the external genitalia will not be formed well. So small external genitalia again can be, sometimes can be mistaken for a female if the external genitalia has not developed, like looking that of a male. Descendants of testis and all these undescended testis at childhood, it will descend later. So these things are there. So this is due to 5-alpha reductase deficiency. 5-alpha reductase that forming dihydrotestosterone from testosterone. That is the enzyme. So this is the features of androgen and estrogen. That's what do they do, actual functions. Androgen and estrogen will be again discussed during the male and female reproductive system proper. This is the levels of testosterone and the different phases of life. Just to show you the picture, levels of testosterone, it has parts of rise and fall. In prebutal stage, for a few years it falls to a very low level and then again rises to a peak. So during at the puberty, just at adulthood, then again it is coming down adulthood, and in the old age it is becoming again going towards the baseline, becoming lower. Okay. So this is about sex determination and sex differentiation. So a few lines about puberty. What is puberty? We just know very simply. We know what is puberty. It's adolescence, that part of the life cycle of an individual. So that is adolescence, but medically defining, it is when the endocrine and gametogenic functions of the gonads. Gonads have only two functions. Like the testis, the functions are production of gametes and the production of these hormones. So testosterone mainly, and the production of the gametes, spermatogenesis. So this period when the endocrine and gametogenic functions of the gonads have first developed. So when it is first developed to the point where reproduction is possible. So biologically that human being has the potential to reproduce. That is where the first signs or the first point. So this is actually medically defining, but this is not it cannot be defined as this day, this month, this year, not like that. These are certain ranges are there. So actually in boys between 9 and 14 years, in girls between 8 and 13 years. So what is the first sign in we will call boys or the males, normally we call the males, the first sign is the testicular enlargement, and in the females the first sign is the development of the breasts. First the formation of the breast buds formed, then the growth of the breast tissue. So thelarchy, mainly more it is asked about so again those questions you will face in gynecology. What are the stages? Thelarchy, puberty and menarche. So the menarche is the onset of menstruation. This is coming last among these. Thelarchy, puberty, growth of pubic hairs and all. So there is another term called adrenarche, when adrenal steroidogenesis has reached its full potential. Adrenarche, thelarchy, adrenarche, puberty, menarche. And in the boys it's about testicular enlargement, then pubic hair appearances. Voice changes come somewhat later, but usually completed by 14-15 years. So if it is still not completed, so testicular development is still not completed, we call it delayed puberty when it goes beyond say 20 years. Absence of menstruation beyond 17 years of age in an genetically female. Now at this point of time it is 17 years, 18 years, 20 years. So expected features. So that child has been reared up either as a male or a female, but the expected features are not there. That is when all these issues come up. Then what was the problem? The child has been reared as a male or female according to the phenotype, and these are very unfortunate things. It is very difficult. The mindset has grown, so it is very difficult. So this is very actual cases, rare cases. What is there to laugh? Rare cases, but very unfortunate. Okay, the child has been grown as either a male or a female, but now karyotyping, it is showing the opposite. Genetic sex is opposite. So these are the problems. So adrenarche term has also been mentioned. It is 8 to 10 years in girl, 10 to 12. The adrenarche means this adrenal steroidogenesis has also reached its peak. So there are abnormalities of puberty, either precocious, early puberty. These are sometimes mostly cause is not known. Early puberty, and if it is constitutional or cause is not known, mostly it is not that. That means it does not harm actually biologically, but there are social factors related to it, early puberty. So even the parents may be concerned, the parents of the children of such a child may be concerned that precocious puberty, but if it is constitutional and showing no other abnormal features, so there is abnormal features means just precocious puberty, just puberty has arrived early. Say obviously the mother of a girl child, say menstruating at 8 years should be concerned because she expects that it will be at 11, 12, 13 years of age, but if it is at 8 years, the mother will be concerned. But otherwise, if it is constitutional, no actual biological cause, then it would, in the long run, it wouldn't harm the child. That is early puberty, but no menarche by 17 years in girls, but no testicular development by 20 years in boys. This is delayed puberty, and that is when all those things which, if there are genetic issues, these whatever it is, these androgen insensitivity or other genetic issues, they are probably diagnosed then, many of them. So it is factors controlling are mostly one, this pulsatile secretion of, again like we showed the secretion of testosterone, so gonadal, this secretion of the releasing hormones, gonadotropin releasing hormones from the hypothalamus, and as a result the trophic hormones from the anterior pituitary, these are secreted in a pulse. So this does not have a sustained rise, it goes down again comes back like this. So this is, that is called the pulsatile secretion of the releasing hormones. This is again, I have just shown it for you, this is from a very renowned gynecology textbook. So what are the stages, how does it is called Tanner, after the names of James Tanner. So Tanner staging, what are the levels? So the first thing to, in the male genital, testicular enlargement is the first sign, and in the females it is the breast appearance, first the formation of breast buds followed by the growth of the breast tissue, breast areola and the breast tissue, and there are 5 stages. You don't need to go into the extensive stages right now, but this is the first one is testicular enlargement in the male or in the boys, genetically male. In the girls it is about first the formation of breast buds, then the growth of the breast tissue. So again this same thing, okay. So prepubertal stage, stage 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what is about the pubic hairs, will gradually it will become the male pattern or the female pattern, pubic hairs will develop gradually. So again we have already mentioned thelarchy, puberty and menarche. So thelarchy is the first, puberty along with this adrenarche, puberty almost the same time, puberty the more androgens, and so development of pubic and axillary hair. Growth spurt occurs, estrogen has a role to play. So in case of Turner syndrome, again as there are streak ovaries, so estrogens have a role to play. The Turner syndrome females, they are actually, what is the genetic makeup, 44XO or gonadal dysgenesis, streak ovaries. So there is growth spurt, we showed this is growth hormone is probably okay. This one, the child remains a dwarf according to the stages of development. Okay, stages of development, how FSH and LH, the upper one is about the males and the lower one is about the females. So how the FSH and LH is at the different stages of the puberty, how FSH, LH hormones are, the levels are being changed. In the females it's about estradiol, one of the forms of estrogen. In the males it's about testosterone, the androgens, the levels of androgen, estrogen. Although both are hormones are present in both types of sex, but in the males it is more about the effects of testosterone, in the females more about the effect of estrogen. Remember, in the females estrogen has a role to play in the actual this growth, in height growth and everything. So the child remains a dwarf in case of one of the examples of the genetic disorders or chromosomal disorders, that is the Turner's syndrome. So some causes of, we have already mentioned this, causes of precocious puberty, that is early puberty. Either it is true precocious puberty, most of them are constitutional, cause are not known, but they are not harmful, actually not harmful, that is biologically at least not harmful, physiologically, pathophysiologically not harmful, but there are the social, these issues are there, and the one is the guardians may present with a mother of a girl child who menstruating at 8 years of age may get worried and come to us or come to the physician, come for medical advice that my girl is menstruating just at 8 years of age. That may be a issue, but actually they have to be reassured. Just reassurance is required if nothing else is found. But sometimes there are tumors or infections in the pituitary, or there are tumors or infections leading to this hormonal issues. So that is this thing, this tumors, infection, developmental anomalies, abnormalities, or even without gonadotropin involvement, sometimes these are seen. So again, causes, the diagnosis causes difficult to find sometimes, but we have to just follow up then, and if nothing is found, then just reassurance is necessary. But more, this is the precocious pseudo puberty, these things, granulosa cell tumors, estrogen secreting tumors, androgen secreting tumors, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, which we talked about, these are what are, these have to be addressed. Okay. So there are problems, the child has been, it is, we are speaking simply about this, but it is actually not so simple. Very unfortunate cases where there will be no spermatogenesis, ovarian development. Again, this is about the delayed puberty, lack of breast development by 13, and failure to menstruate. Better write age 17. In the boys, it is failure to testicular enlargement, genital enlargement, testicular enlargements by the age of 20. That is one single feature. If it has to be mentioned, then lack of testicular development or enlargement by 20 years of age, and lack of menstruation by 17 years of age. This has been, this is what standard textbooks are writing. So these are the causes. Again, causes we have already mentioned. These are some terms: hypogonadotropin, hypogonadism. This is gonadotropins are deficient, so gonads are also not developing. Hypergonadotropin, hypogonadism. Again, if you have read about this as you have already read, hypothalamic pituitary axis. What is primary? Thyroid has been discussed. Thyroid. So what is primary hypothyroidism? So issue is at the within the thyroids. Okay. What will happen? T4 and T3 will be less, but TSH will be more due to feedback. So that is primary. But secondary is actual issue is at the level of the pituitary. If it is, then TSH will be less, T3, T4 will be less because of that. But if issue is at the level of the thyroid, it is not responding to TSH, then T3, T4 is declining, that is primary hypothyroidism. So like this hypergonadotropic hypogonadism, that is issue is at the level of the gonads and the gonadotrophic hormones are going on rising, like that. In that case, TSH or the thyroid stimulating hormone, also called the thyrotropic hormone, going on rising. So it is secondary. So that is hypergonadotropic hypogonadism. You get it? This is primary hypothyroidism may come. So as clinical examples, clinical application is coming. What do you mean the difference between primary and secondary hypothyroidism? So that is the difference, very basic difference. T3, T4 will be less, but TSH will be high. Like similarly, hypogonadism, there is some issue at the level of the gonads not responding to the releasing hormones or the trophic hormones. So hypergonadotropic hypogonadism, most cases are though constitutional. So this is about sex differentiation and puberty. So after the completion of the endocrine system, the rest of the reproductive system will be carried on.